Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and we've got an amazing development coming out of the nation of Argentina. The nationalist populist outsider Javier Milei, a libertarian and anti-establishment candidate, has just shocked the world by winning Argentina's presidential primary election. In a stunning election upset, Milei beat out both the center-right opposition as well as the center-left, representing an extraordinary voter rejection of the Argentine establishment, which, of course, has overseen a seemingly incurably corrupt and inflated economic system. Now, I want to give a huge shout-out to my colleague, Conrad Franz, who wrote a great article on the election, available at turleytalks.com. You'll definitely want to check that out for a deeper dive in all this. Conrad's an amazing writer and podcaster. He's rightly noted that Milei has now taken the lead for the runoff election in October, which would mean that Argentina would join fellow Latin American nations like El Salvador and Guatemala and Chile in electing a fully nationalist populist government. Milei is often compared to Donald Trump, and not just because of his eccentric hair or mannerisms, but most especially because of his policies. He loves Trump, and he's embraced the comparison. In fact, he's even had his own stint in the world of entertainment. He was a singer in the band Everest. He's well known across Argentina for their covers of Rolling Stones songs. But he's also a very staunch conservative Catholic who seeks to end abortion, and he completely rejects cultural Marxist LGBT ideology. My colleague Conrad Franz points that out in his article. He enjoys a strong celebrity following due to his energetic social media posts, revolutionary rallies, and populist image. And on top of that, he's even been endorsed by the so-called tropical Trump, former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro.
We have many things in common, starting with wanting good for our countries. We defend families, private property, a free market, freedom of expression, and a legitimate right to self-defense.
Now, Milei is on his way to the presidency at a time when Argentina is experiencing 116% inflation, along with a cost of living crisis that's left 4 in 10 Argentines in poverty. Milei wants to adopt the dollar as the national currency in order to help stabilize the economy, abolish Argentina's central bank, which he sees as incurably corrupt, and promote Bitcoin investment to return currency back to the ownership of the people. Now, what Milei is advocating here is actually something that's already being done in Latin America. In many respects, Milei is following a political pattern that's proven to be perhaps the single most successful political agenda on the planet. And it's a fully nationalist, populist, traditionalist, patriotic agenda. And it's one that promises to change Latin America like never before. This is going to absolutely amaze you. But first,
I'll be back.
No. It's not he will be back. He is back, gang. It's time to celebrate the great return by clicking on the link below and getting your very own Trumpinator 2024 bobblehead in preparation for Donald Trump's glorious reascendance to the United States presidency. This collectible bobblehead from Proud Patriots is made with the highest quality material and is really a must-have for any Trump fan who wants to send some energy towards what's shaping up to be the single most glorious political comeback in history. Now, don't wait. There are just a limited number of these collectibles, and you want to be caught paying way more later on eBay from someone who bought one now. So whatever you do, don't wait. Click on that link below right now and show your support for Trump 2024 today. What you're seeing here are astonishing images coming out of the nation of El Salvador, touting the opening of what they're calling the nation's new mega prison, a colossal complex that can hold up to 40,000 prisoners at a single time. It's the brainchild of El Salvador's new nationalist populist president, Nayib Bukele. Now, a few years back, Bukele, a very successful businessman, former mayor of San Salvador, he ran for president as a populist outsider who campaigned on basically draining the swamp in Salvadorian politics and restoring law and order in what had become probably the single most violent nation in the world. I mean, at one point, El Salvador had the highest murder rate on the planet, averaging 1 murder per hour. Drug cartels and gangs literally controlled everything. The government became little more than a passive spectator. But now with Bukele at the helm, all of that's come to a dramatic end. Take a look at the latest reports. The homicide rate in El Salvador has plummeted. Get this. Before Bukele came to power, El Salvador averaged 108 murders per 100,000 inhabitants, one of the highest in the world. The murder rate today has plummeted to now just 8 murders per 100,000. The murder rate has dropped by more than 90%. And as you saw, one of the reasons for that dramatic drop in murder rates is Bukele's creation of what's called a super prison that houses upwards of 40,000 prisoners, many of whom are in prison for the next 40 years for gang-related activity. Bukele's massive crackdown on violent crime has resulted in the arrest of over 64,000 violent criminals, and it's changing El Salvador like never before. And so, if you could believe, well, I'm sure you can believe it, Bukele's approval rating right now stands at a whopping 90% approval. He is hands down one of the single most popular national leaders in the world. Now pundits are starting to see what they're calling the Bukele effect in Latin America. Recently, the nation of Chile voted overwhelmingly for their so-called hard right or far right that won a massive supermajority for the express purpose of changing their constitution into a far more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist document. It was a shock election that responded to an attempt by far leftists to impose a radically woke constitution on the Chilean people, what CNN actually called the single most progressive constitution on the planet. But Chilean patriots fought back, and they ran a campaign that focused on ending two things. They're ending wokeness and they're ending crime. Wokeness and crime, literally exactly what Nayib Bukele has done in El Salvador. And that's exactly what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina. So we'll obviously be keeping a very close eye on how things develop here, but it really does look like a very formidable and patriotic right is shaping up in the global South. Are you ready to join the resistance? Because I'm leading a group of dedicated, courageous patriots who can lead a spearhead into the heart of the secular globalist establishment. We punished Bud Light and Target, driven CNN and the legacy media to near bankruptcy, forced BlackRock to backtrack on ESG, and now we're seeing our conservative-dominated Supreme Court ending affirmative action and protecting religious liberty. In my Insiders Club, I show you concrete steps to take locally and online that will only keep this mass uprising going until the battle is won. Don't wait. Click the link in my description below and join my Courageous Patriots Insiders Club today.